Welcome back, everyone, to the Flyin Lion Podcast. I am here tonight with Sam, who is rocking one of the 2020 kits, I believe. The old, was it a 20th anniversary MLS kit? Split right down the middle. We're both wearing jerseys tonight. It's going to be a good pod.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? I mean, would you consider it old school at this point? I mean, I don't think it's quite there yet, but
Yeah, not a classic yet.
yeah, not a classic quite yet, but definitely an interesting kit, split down the middle. Not my favorite kit, but thought I'd wear it for, just some kit, I don't
Kid
know,
love.
kit love. Yeah, I like
Kid,
that.
kid love. You
We
know,
need we need more kit love.
we do. And Zach is missing tonight. He is usually the one that brings the kit love, but
Yeah,
we'll get him back
he's a
soon.
kit hugger. He's a
He
kit
is
hugger.
he's a kid hugger. Sam, match day 6 for FC Cincinnati was this past week. We had a 1-1 draw against Charlotte. Roller coaster of emotions for, I'm sure, a lot of FC Cincinnati fans. So we'll do a recap of that game. We'll give you a good trivia question of the week. I'm excited for this one. Classic trivia of the card of the week and the jersey swap of the week. And then actually we're going to do a little bit about the GA Cup, or the Generation Adidas Cup, for some of the youth players. FC Cincinnati's U15 and U17s are playing in this tournament. So we'll touch on that in the second part of the pod. So stay tuned for that. And then we're going to give you a preview of match day number 7 against New York Red Bulls. And a great, I think, matchup, that Saturday is going to be at home. So, Sam, let's get into it. Like I mentioned, a 1-1 draw, which means now on the year we are 3-0-3. So, for as frustrated as some of these games have been, we're undefeated in MLS play. Can't be too mad about that.
No, I mean, like you said, undefeated. Whether it feels like it or not, that's another, question there. But yeah, being atop of the East, we're not the best team in the MLS. I think Galaxy still owns that one.
I think we might be top of Supporter
Are
Shield.
we top?
I think we still might be, yeah.
Well, if we are top, then we've stuck it out, right? A lot of games, offense hasn't been there,
Right.
but we've definitely stuck it out, gotten the draws where we needed to, especially like this one where it was an away match. But yeah,
Yeah, I just looked. So they have the same record, but their goal differential is 1 goal higher. So I think technically you're right on that.
it's not
Who
a technical. It is. What? Come on, give it to
All
me.
right, you're right. You're right. But I want to say technical because, like, I feel like, hey, we're top of the league right now, right? Yeah, top of the
Goal
East at
differential
least.
always gets you.
Yeah,
We'll
but
talk about that later. Yeah.
who would have thought that Galaxy would be, top at this point in their season? We're not an LA Galaxy podcast, but I mean, they've had a unreal, first several games, and they're actually dominating over the other LA team, which historically has not been the case since they've been around. But anyway, back to FC Cincinnati land. For this game against Charlotte, again, we lined up, fairly similar to, I think, how Zach and I had predicted. The one big question was, who gets that center back nod? So we had Celentano, Oriano, Robinson, Miazga, and Nick Haglund, who came back, and we'll touch on him in a minute here. DeAndre Yedlin, Pavel Buka, you had Kubo, Acosta, Barrett, and Bupenza. So again, pretty much exactly what we expected. Haglund's the big surprise, Sam, as we
Call the
mentioned.
start.
You called it. I mean, yeah, every time the club sneaks the video, or the photo, I should say, earlier on in the day of, like, hey, it's match day, here's the details of the game, and they put a person that's like a questionable, starter, like you mentioned
It's too
earlier.
easy. It's too easy.
Too easy. They give you a clue as to who's going to be playing. So Hags is back. It's his first start in 175 days, was this past Saturday. We'll get into him a little bit. I think my initial impressions, like, coming off a hamstring, repair, and being a medical guy myself, like, it worries me a little bit in him, and trying to get his step, back in, his acceleration on turf. He looked like a step off on recoveries, and again, maybe turf have maybe played an issue with that, but ultimately Nick had, some good plays. I didn't think he was terrible by any means, but there's some things that, we have to build on. I think you were going to comment on that.
Yeah, I think with Nick, we're taking it slow, right? Especially even on the turf, right? That plays a factor in it. With having the depth that we do now at center back, we're able to do those things to where
Right.
maybe would you have seen that last, like who could we have trusted, right, to go in for him, given the game scenario as well, right? Needing to at least get a point away from home. But yeah, I mean, he looked a step off, like you said, but he still just needs to build the chemistry in the back and really get back into it. Which he's a big vibes guy, right? Hagelin
Yeah.
is a vibes guy, so that shouldn't be too hard. But yeah, happy to see him back out there. But another guy that we saw come off the bench. Now, I mean, unless you want to touch on something else real
Yeah,
quick.
I mean, just real quickly before we move on, I was just gonna say that the big thing that I wanted to comment on is, as you mentioned, building chemistry is, Hagelin hadn't played with DeAndre Yedlin. And I mean, maybe in the last game he played a little bit, but he hadn't started with him. So the understanding of, when Yedlin's caught up, when does Nick have to go out and chase that guy? I mean, he's been playing right center back for 3 seasons now in this system. He should know, but communication with your, right wing back and saying, hey, Yedlin, if you're up, I'm gonna have to slide out, but just getting out there quickly, because closing it down and being able to accelerate and then really kind of stop there and decide, is the guy going to try to dribble around me? Is he going to cross it? I mean, there was 3 or 4 moments in the first 20 minutes where they tried to attack down that side and Nick was just a little bit late in getting out there, or there's miscommunication with Yedlin. So simple things that I think they'll pick up on as they start playing with each other a little bit more. But that's just what I wanted to comment real quick.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, especially as the season prolongs and obviously Yedlin's in form. So getting Hagelin to kind of get more informed as well. I think the communication, the talking, I think it'll eventually all be there and be in sync. But yeah, as I was touching on, we got Obi coming off the bench in this game, played around 30 minutes or so. He's still coming back a little bit from his injury, but he should get a start this upcoming game.
If there wasn't a setback, from this game, and doesn't sound like it by any means. He
Oh
didn't look
yeah,
like he was walking gingerly, afterwards. But yeah, I think I totally agree with you. Is at home in a big game against Red Bulls, and we'll touch on it later. But having him back would be huge. I thought in his 30 minutes when he came in, like the timing for me, Sam, was a little bit odd. We just get scored on a PK. And you sub Corey Barrett off and you put Obi on. It's like we're down one. Why are we putting a defensive midfielder on? But I think Pat saw that we were losing the midfield battle at that point, and they were kind of dominating in those transition moments where Obi kind of put his stamp on the match. And, with Obina Wobodo comes into the game, Sam, you look at this guy and you go, dude, I don't want to be anywhere around this dude for a 50-50 challenge, And so how much of that plays into Charlotte now, even though they're a goal up, but Obi came in and just kind of showed why he's one of the best. And I felt like did a good job in a short amount of time to kind of turn the game on its head and to lead the charge. He's not always been the greatest connector of, passes through the midfield or progressing us forward, but he did a decent job. And you see, even on our goal, his pass over to Dado leads to that counter later on in the game. So good point on him. And, shout out to him coming back because he's such a crucial player.
yeah. I think to touch on that, the beginning of the game though, starting at the beginning, Charlotte dominated the first 20 minutes there. I know we had talked about, the communication with Hagelin and Yedlin in the back. The midfield was a little shaky, like on the back foot for most of the game, and it just didn't look quite right. They had a lot of chances. The defense was having to throw their body at everything. Celentano made some pretty good saves in that first half. I think he made a good crucial save in that first half. But yeah, for the first 20 minutes, it was like, guys, come on, like let's get going here.
Tell me this though, like for all the chances they had, like they had 1 or 2 that were kind of quality. I didn't feel like nervous until like it was like a one-on-one with Miazga and the strikers kind of running in on Celentano, or a point blank shot. But like something about playing on a football field, Sam, how many like, field goals did we have with shots that were just blasted way over for us and for them?
Yeah, it
Maybe
was
it's playing
bad.
on
It
turf
was
and like
bad.
bouncing up and you don't hit it right and it just sails over. But like I remember at least 4 or 5 of them that it was just like, all right, that's a field goal, sign them up for the Panthers. Like
I think
it was,
Luca alone had two.
yeah. And Boop, I think, had one.
Boop always does, dude.
I
It
mean,
doesn't
you,
matter.
you
It doesn't
commented
matter
on
the
that
turf that he
before.
plays
Yeah.
on. He's always got them.
That's just a Bupenza thing. But I mean, I guess he makes up for it later on. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree. First 20 minutes were like, what are we doing? Like, did we get off of the bus, and in Charlotte? But yeah, the defense did enough in those situations. They're experienced enough that even if you're not, doing everything correctly, they can still kind of ride the ship a little bit and figure it out. Miazga, I think, saved us a few times on some recoveries. And afterwards, I love seeing Matt get up and just throw his arms at everyone and like, come on, like, what are we doing? Like
Yeah.
gets the guys going at least. In that time period, I wanted to comment that they really let us have the ball, in the center backs. And I think this touches on, how they saw us play against DC earlier on in the year. Some of the first, games, I think even with Toronto too. What are you doing with the ball and possession with the center backs? What is the meaningful passes that you're going to make? I mean, to the layperson watching these games, it's like, Ryan, why do they keep passing the ball back to Celentano? Why do they keep going back and forth with the center backs? It's like, because they're trying to create opportunities and open the space up and swing the ball around. But that only does so much if your, midfield's making runs to connect with you, or your strikers are checking too, or making runs behind. I mean, I was listening to a little bit. I went back and listened to Jimmy McLaughlin made a good point on the broadcast and said, we're playing too kind of like stagnant in those settings. Like at some point you got to challenge behind the line. Like how many times have we seen Robinson or Miazga play balls, behind them? So if you're constantly just passing it around, you're prone to mistakes, or you're going to play it long. And if you don't have Bupenza or Baird winning it, they're right back at us and the defense doesn't get a break.
Yeah, to your point, Bear did have one attempt in the 26th minute there. It was a great another great chance by Baird, right?
Yeah.
And honestly a really good save by the keeper. If he puts a little bit more on it, maybe, it slides by, or, we get a good deflection off the keeper's hands. But gosh, this guy cannot buy a goal still. Like we're every single podcast, I feel like we're saying that because he's got the chances. He's just not putting them away.
The keepers that he's playing against are just on heaters every time that we play him. Like they're literally playing their best game. Like the Charlotte guy just was just jumping out of his shoes on that one to make the save. Can he put it in the corner a little bit more? I mean, yeah, but like how many times have you seen a half volley like that just go in for other teams, just out of nowhere? And then this guy just makes some miraculous save. But it only counts if it goes in, Sam. So, and it didn't in that chance, but that was the one solid moment that I saw in the first
Yeah,
half.
nothing.
Um, Other than that, like I said, it just needed to be more consistent movement to create opportunities and to break the press, that they were trying to put on, and pick their moments. One thing happens right before half, Sam, that we find out after the game. I think Top Bin 90 for Charlotte comes out and makes a post that Dean Smith, the coach of Charlotte, was upset with Pat Noonan trying to influence the game and talking to the refs to do so. And that they get into an argument apparently, before half, and they're shouting back and forth. I think their guy completely blows it out of proportion. Like, what coach doesn't try to get some influence in the ref's ear of like, dude, you got to start looking at this, or my guy's getting held on this, or you know what I mean? Like, if he's going to be nitpicky about that, like, come on, seriously?
Come on, Dean. Come on. You coached in the
Welcome to the
Prem. Come
MLS,
on.
Dean.
Come on. Yeah, I know. I thought that was funny.
The wrong
Um,
Dean Smith in North Carolina. Shout out to the Tar
hey, shout
Heels.
out Tar Heels. Yeah. Hey, there you go. Yeah, you're not even the most famous Dean Smith in the
Yeah,
state.
yeah,
So
get
don't
out of here.
even
Get
like,
out of here, bro.
yeah, I thought that was interesting. And that was, I mean, you could call that FC's biggest highlight of the, first half or half if you want to.
Snooze
But
fest. I mean,
yeah,
again,
very much a
zero
snooze
zero
fest.
0-0 half every single game in the MLS season. 0-0 at half. Every single one.
Ugh,
Let's get a first half goal at some point.
let's get
Please.
something. Yeah.
For all of the Cincinnati fans' hearts that can't take this anymore, in the last second scoring and really taking it down to the end of the game. But the second half, it is much of the same. I mean, I would hope we'd have a spark coming out of half like we did in New England. Doesn't happen. 57th minute, you see a little over aggressive Kubo going in on a challenge. For me, is like no reason to foul in that position, and it's easy for me to say, watching this game, but you're at the corner of the box. The guy is like trying to make a run on you, and you have your two center backs behind you. Why stab in that moment and try to make that play? Like, I see Obi do it and he gets away with it because he just knows what he's doing. But Kubo takes some lessons from Obi, learn on the training ground, like when to step in, and it's spatial awareness. Are you in the box? Are you outside of the box? Where are you at in that moment? And the guy makes a meal of it. I mean, he totally embellishes a little bit on that, but there's contact, and I mean, it's a PK, but I mean, they didn't have much going at that moment, and the guy's like, yes, let's go, like PK. And like the stat comes up that they've had, I think, 3 PKs, Sam, at home
In a row. Yeah.
and they missed 2 of their first PKs. And of course, I'm waiting for the announcer curse in this moment, Sam, where, oh,
We
Charlotte's
get a
missed
third
their
save.
first
Yeah.
2. Yeah, he says it after the fact, and that's why they score. So blame it on that
Ridiculous.
guy.
Good. Yeah. Announcers don't help us, though. You know this.
Yeah,
Announcers don't help us.
Orashano. Do you know
Yeah.
Orashano on the team?
Luca
Luca
Orashano.
Orashano. What? Where's the S in that? No idea.
I don't know. Maybe he had a conversation with his mom or somebody, or he heard it and he was like, Orashano sounds nice with my voice. But yeah, the Kubo's got to know better in that situation, especially it's 0-0 tight game. Like, can't be making mistakes, especially around your own box. And I mean, it's a clear penalty, like you said. And they convert. Salentano is not a good not a
Roman's
good
got to make
penalty.
a. Is he gonna get another PK save ever?
I don't know. I don't know. He's got one. He's got one.
Yeah.
And he's gonna hang his hat on that for a while because he was nowhere close to that one. But
It's that's the thing for me is like it's a 50-50 guess, and every time it's the wrong way. Like,
yeah,
what are you doing? I mean, like, do they need to just like analyze more of these guys on their tendencies? I think maybe what had happened though in that moment, you see, I think Westwood takes the ball from the guy who gets fouled, and
hmm
maybe they, saw something with where the Westwood guy was going to go with his PK, and then he hands the ball off to the other guy, I forget his name, like Diallo or something like that. So maybe they like knew more of their main PK taker and his tendencies. I'm gonna give Roman the benefit of the doubt on that one. And the dude almost went down in the first 15 minutes of the game. I thought Roman was out. I thought the
yeah,
turf
he
the
did not
turf
look
monster
good.
got him.
Yeah, it was his ankle, right? Ankle, foot,
Yeah, I was
something
worried it was
there.
his Achilles, and hopefully
Evan
that's
was
not
warming
a.
up though.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of worried me there for a second. You see what happens in Atlanta so much, with all the Achilles injuries down there. But yeah, I mean, from that penalty on, I think like I mentioned earlier, Baird comes off, Obi comes on. In that moment, it's like, is that the right move? You put Kubo more forward. It still is like a little odd. Like, to me, that's like, is he trying to get more control of the midfield and build in that position? Does he want to get the strikers to play a little bit longer before he subs one of them off, and eventually Santos does come on? But I mean, Sam, let's comment on the big person that both me and you think made a huge difference in this game in the 89th minute. Dado Valenzuela comes on for Buka, and Buka didn't have like a terrible game, but Dado comes in, and I mean, he creates, and he just looks so mature. He's 19, but the dude looks so confident. And is he coming in moments where the team is fatigued that we're playing? I mean, maybe that's a thought, but like he seems so fluid on the ball and has a good understanding of where some of the other players are to create in those moments. And we just need more creation right now on the attack and more cohesion with that too.
Yeah, he had a really nice pass to Santos for a chance there at the end of the game. But
Outside of the
yeah,
boot.
yeah, he's so good. He's so good for 19. we've never had a young academy guy as good as he has, and it's very refreshing to watch because I think everybody else sees it. Everybody
Hmm.
else sees it. This guy needs to play more. And I don't think it's a Halsey case, right? Where it was like last season, we watched Halsey, we were like, this guy
Right.
needs to play more. Um, and then you watch some of the other games and you're like, oh, okay, here's why he's not playing more. But
Right.
Halsey, once again, a good case of he came on this game and lit it up. He was exciting. He brought
He
energy and
he had
he
one
made,
moment where he gave the ball away and then almost led to a goal in our own half. And that's a learning moment, as a young
no,
player.
yeah, and he'll have
But
that. Yeah.
besides that, I do agree. I think he played pretty decent, and he just always brings energy into the game, which sometimes it's like so stale or so stagnant, and you need some change of pace.
That's where I think these two, if you start them, do we get a goal in the first half? Like
Yeah,
that's like what do we need at this point? We need goals in the first half. So do we need energy in the first half? Yeah, done. Like start these guys so that way
right.
we could start the game well.
Well, or
And
bring
then
him
you
on
get better.
sooner. I mean, you make
Yeah,
a sub for him in the 89th minute, and it's like, is that too little, too late in some other games? Like, I don't know, but he gets 45. Dowdo gets 45 minutes against New England to start, and I mean, I'm gonna kind of give him the benefit of the doubt that he starts with Pinto, I think, in that game, and it's a rotated group around him, so maybe with more consistent starters. I don't think he had Lucho on the field at that point, too. Have we seen much of a Dado Lucho combination for a prolonged period of time? I
not
mean,
too much, no.
you're right. We both came out of this game, and I think like as a podcast, I'm gonna call for getting, if they're gonna go with two attacking mids like they've been showing with Baird and Acosta or like a false nine, let's get Dado in there next to Acosta as a dueling 10 to create. Lucha's gonna drift wide. Dado on the press. I mean, they both can stretch it wide to shadow the center backs. Why not, man? Switch it up. I mean, Baird's had 20 chances to score point blank from goal, and he hasn't done it yet. So, maybe by putting somebody in there new, does it spark him to, play even better? I mean, in reference to Baird. So I think Dado deserves that chance for another game with a full roster, maybe even at home with that cushion a little bit too, that you're playing on your home surface, but why not? I mean, the dude's just so creative. Like give him an opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Full podcast support there. But our boys up top finally put one in. The second minute of extra time there. Boop. There it is. What a beautiful back heel. And it all honestly, it all started going back to who I talked about first was Brett Halsey, his tackle on the other end, and Pat Noonan said this too. That was what started it all. From that moment there, winning that tackle was crucial. And then it led to a great ball. Yedlin gets it back, heels this to Bupenza, and Bupenza puts it away. Like, what a beautiful way to end the game. And it was one of those moments where it was like, man, if this would have came earlier in the game, this would have been like 10 times more exciting. Like,
Yeah. I have more to come on this later. But the peace of mind to put himself in that position, to create that opportunity and to know that he's drawing the defenders with him, sublime. I mean, that's just experience. And again, more to come on that. I have more to touch on that, but Bupenza doesn't sky that one. He doesn't sky the sitter.
no.
So I'll take that. But Santos does a decent job, and he should get some credit for actually doing something with that ball. We've seen so many times where the ball is played through like that, and it just leads to either trickles out of bounds or like it's a miscommunication. I thought they were running, but they don't run, or like he gets to it and turns the guy well and plays it across in a dangerous position, So all in all, we come out of it 1-1. Maybe it doesn't feel like we deserve it, but this team fights, man. That's what I've learned the last couple seasons is they're gonna find a way to come back. I think Yedlin says it too, is like it's the Cincinnati way. We just have found ways to get results. Um, in the last few seasons, and this year especially is no exception to that. So on the game though, I mean, 62% of possession, Sam. I mean, how much of that was like meaningful possession, but high percentage of possession. I think probably one of the highest in the year in playing on turf. It's quicker. You can lose the ball sometimes, but for them to hopefully create more out of that, I think it has to be better meaningful possession, especially if the other team's going to give you that. Like that's where they're going to get you is, pressing you high and making you turn it over. 17 shots, a lot of opportunities. Again, it's not like we didn't create opportunities. We had those chances.
Five shots on target only.
Yeah. I mean, not as many as you want. But and then
Well,
14,
all those like shots, most of them were right to the keeper though.
there was a lot right at the keeper. Yeah. I mean, pick a corner. Just whatever pass it into the goal, on the side. And it's easy for us to say, but Sam, it's kind of staggering to me. 14 fouls, committed and only 3 cards that come out of it. The weird refed game. It's the first one back for our real referees. It was a little interesting.
Charlotte had only 6 fouls.
Did they really? Okay. Yeah, a little imbalance there on the amount. And if Dean Smith is going to say that Pat Noonan is, trying to engage the refs to be on our side,
there's a reason. Yeah.
go look at the foul count, bro. You had way more.
Yeah.
So it was fascinating. But again, like we said, 3-0-3 with that, we're, I guess, first in the East, technically, second in Supporter Shield on goal differential. Always, like, I think you were going to mention it. It's always tough to play in Charlotte. They had the highest attendance of anyone in the MLS this past weekend with, I think, like a little over 30,000. A lot of FCC fans that went down for the game, which is pretty cool, that we're getting that support. The other Queen City. So for now, at least the Battle of the Queen Cities, whatever this trophy is going to be for this, is going to stay in a neutral hand right now.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a stalemate. Stalemate still.
Yep. So, Sam, let's get to a break here. But before we do, trivia question for you, if you're ready.
Hit me.
All right. So, how many games in a row has FCC gone without losing on the road? And where does that streak put us all time in MLS history?
Are we doing this season or like continued from last season too?
From last season as well.
Okay. I'm gonna
excluding the CONCACAF Champions Cup and Open Cup and playoffs and whatever, just MLS regular season play.
I'm gonna go. I feel like we had a pretty good away streak, to be honest with you, there at the end of the year. I'm gonna go. This may be out there, but I'm gonna go 9.
All right, so Sam says 9. Stay tuned
and then,
for the
and then where we're at. Let's go 4th all time.
4th all time. All right.
Why not?
Stay tuned till the end, and I'll give you the answer on that. Kind of an interesting one here. Hey, FC Cincinnati fans, we are pumped to share our new sponsor, Peak Cocktails.
I'm sipping on the passion fruit margarita, which is so spicy, and it makes me feel like I'm on the beach.
Ooh, that sounds great. I'm drinking the Blood Orange Spritz, which has a great subtle ginger flavor coming from its scientifically formulated recipe to promote exercise recovery, enhance relaxation, and support a better night's sleep.
Ryan, that's exactly why I love them. Their cocktails are designed to fit seamlessly into your health-conscious lifestyle, giving you the enjoyment of a delicious adult drink without the downsides of alcohol.
Guys, next time you are looking for that post-workout drink or an afternoon pick-me-up, grab a Peak Cocktail. Visit them at www.peakcocktails.com and use the code Flyin Lion at checkout to get 20% off your first order. Zach, enjoy your drink. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight we are chatting on a 1-1 draw against Charlotte, but an unbeaten FC Cincinnati team in MLS play. So again, it's hard to be like really mad at what's going on. It's frustrating at times in some of the brand of soccer. And if we even finish half of what we've had in opportunities, we'd be just dominating every single game. But we're still undefeated, Sam. So can't be too mad about that. But speaking of being mad, what's your card of the week?
My card of the week isn't necessarily mad. My card of the week is more about like it's a big question mark. Like why, how, who approved this type card of the week? Because my card of the week is Nick Haglin's Old Spice video. I don't know if it's on any other platform, but I saw it on TikTok, and Gotta say, the sniff test video is a little interesting. I mean, it's definitely Nick Haglund. I'll put it that way. But the video is basically his wife telling him in the video that his feet stink and his pits stink, and then he cuts her off and he goes, "And my balls," and holds up two soccer balls to show, his soccer balls stink as well. Um, and then further along in the video, he's also, you know, taking his Old Spice out and decides to, hey, before I leave the bathroom, I gotta spray off my nether regions, and then I'll be good to go. It's a very interesting video. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it for those that love awkward comedy. Yeah,
It's not
very
like
interesting
his
video.
it's not like his coffee videos, earlier on in the year
No,
in
yeah,
preseason.
different
Those were
brand than his
gold.
coffee videos.
Yeah, those I actually enjoyed those. This one was like, Nick, where are you going with this one, man? And like I can't imagine like how his wife, felt in seeing this afterwards. And maybe his daughter's going back when they're a little bit older and seeing like, Dad, what were you thinking?
Hey, Dad, I found this old ad that you did on TikTok.
That's right. Yeah, it was funny. He again is the vibes guy of the team. He's the one that's gonna put content out like that if it's anyone. So
Ryan, we got a card?
yeah, my card of the week. Sam Bupenza scored. I don't know if this is a moment, where you do this, but there's no Bupenza backflip, If Bupenza's gonna score, I gotta see a backflip. And he goes over and he does the, let's hear it, from Charlotte, which is like, all right, 92nd minute, like you stopped him from winning, like, all right, but come on, Burrow, you need a backflip. We need a backflip from Boop every time he scores. I want to see it every single time because it amazes me that he can do it. So, second part of my card is the lack of the Generation Adidas Cup coverage for FC Cincinnati. You can go and watch the games on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. But I think you have to be like sitting around and like waiting for the games to come on. They're supposed to have it where you can go and stream it or see highlights. I haven't seen a single highlight of our, young Garys, and I want to watch it. I'm really, interested in these games. They're playing, teams from all over the world. Give me an opportunity to watch this, and if you're gonna stream it, make it available for all of them. Or at least maybe one game out of the three that they get in the group stage or something. But give us more coverage is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think you're always given two parters. You always give two cards of the week, and it's make up your mind. But with the Bupenza one, yeah, I mean, you want to see a flip. I mean, especially at the end of the game there, like you're settling for the draw. If you're FC Cincinnati, you got a point. We did not deserve a point, but we got it. As far as the young Garys, yeah, what the heck? Like, I think, especially from the FC side, like us as fans, like we had to go out of our way to like find that we even beat the Philadelphia Union. Like that's
right.
You know what I mean? Like we had to go out of our way and go see that. It should be celebrated on the main platform or, talked about a little bit more, maybe some highlights on the main platform of like, hey, like the kid that just signed for Man City, like, yeah, we beat him, type thing. So yeah, I agree with you on that one.
I mean, maybe this is a new thing. I'll have to go back and look in the past. Like, has it been on YouTube? Has it been available to watch? Like,
Probably not.
I don't know, but there's a ton of great talent that has come out of these cups, and we'll get into it here in a little bit. But make it available for your MLS sicko fans like us that want to see the future stars of their team. That's what we're looking for. But speaking on future stars or even stars of this past week, Sam, jersey swap of the week. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I could have gone with anybody on the back line, either Miazga or Miles, but I just felt like Miles deserved my jersey swap more. I felt like he controlled the back half of the line just as well as Miazga did, and he was coming off of international duty, and he was playing on turf because we all know he doesn't like turf, right? So him having to overcome both of those things, I thought he deserved my jersey swap of the week. But he also led the team with 3 interceptions, had 1 block, 1 shot creating chance, and then He was actually second on the team behind Lucho in progressive passes. So once again, to your point that you made earlier this year, the guy picks out the balls. Like, he places the balls like no other from the back line, and it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, great shout. I was literally just thinking, like, coming back from international duty and being thrown into that game on turf, like you said, maybe there's still some leftover grudge of this rivalry, if you want to call it, that I think a lot of the Charlotte fans had created with Atlanta, and how they wanted to develop that. But yeah, Miles played a solid game again. Didn't do anything like super flashy, but
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I felt like he was serviceable, and that's what we need back there. You put him again next to Miazga, and it's like a cheat code every single time they play next to each other. But yeah, great shout. Absolutely. Another US guy that I'm going to shout out for my jersey swap, but DeAndre Yedlin. I thought this was his best FCC game in a lot of ways, but it's capped off by, a beautiful flick that, in assisting Bupenza on the goal. Sam, he's played with a new center back next to him for the last 3 games. Kind of fascinating. Hagelin with Charlotte. Kip Keller, started next to him for NYCFC, and Miles Robinson was next to him for New England. So not only is he on a new team with new players, but new center backs every single game for the past 3 games. And in this one, he does awesome. I think he created more chances. I think he had 3 chances in this game. He played a little bit higher up. You saw him play some balls into the box. His next level is making it a little bit better of a cross, if I can be nitpicky on that. Like, pick out a guy, and really maybe find his head. But he found Bupenza on that flick. So to comment on this, if you look at where Yedlin starts this play, when Halsey steals the ball in our defensive half, I'm pretty sure Yedlin is in the box, on the far side marking his guy, and makes a run all the way up the field. The play develops, it gets down to Santos, and Yedlin has the peace of mind to run across the goalie, which a lot of strikers don't even have that instinct to do. He runs across, draws the defender with him, which opens up Bupenza's space, and the peace of mind to know that he's behind him to flick it like that and to get it right in that moment. He could have just completely missed it or whatever, but to find him and to have an easy knock in, class. DeAndre Yedlin, you had a game, sir.
That's a vet. That's a vet for sure. I thought it was an incredible play. Like we had mentioned prior, just to have, like you said, the wherewithal to even, know that Boop was there, was, world class.
Shout out for him. I think he made team of the match day on the bench.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. He's got 2 assists on the year, actually, 1 in Champions Cup and 1 in MLS now. He had 4 all last year with Miami. He's already got 2 in, 8 games, 10 games. So the Yedlin assist count is going to keep rising, in my opinion. And the dude's going to keep putting in work. But speaking of putting in work, Sam, I'm on it with the transitions tonight. The young Garys, we're in the Generation Adidas Cup. So some of our young players, like I mentioned earlier in the pod, got to go down and still are actually down in the IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. They're competing, like I said, against teams that are from all around the world. You have the likes of Manchester United, Sporting Portugal. You have, I think, a Swedish team that's there, Fluminense from Brazil. And then you have all the MLS, young guys too. So the U15s and the U17s are both competing and doing very well. Sam, I'll cover the U15s from what I'm, seeing. We just had a game today. We topped the table, I guess, tied, for second technically, but you get a 2-1 win against Portland, a 1-0 win against DC, and then today they lose to Sporting Portugal 0-2. But come on, this is where Cristiano Ronaldo started his career. So they have probably some studs that are coming up through their development. But for the 15s, that's a great experience. These guys, I think, are probably playing in their first GA Cup at that age, to go down and to play well in Florida and show out. And I think now to move on to play, they announced it, I believe on Wednesday, Sam, they'll play a Swedish team. Bronsby, I believe is what it is. So looking forward to continuing to watch the 15s at least.
Yeah, as far as the 17s go, first in the group with point differential over Philly, who's in their same group. They started out with a loss, which was tough, but what a heck of a win in the second game against Philadelphia, 2-0 against Kevin Sullivan, Man City signing, possibly the best 15-year-old in the world, some say, which is pretty crazy to have that as an American. But yeah, that's a huge win. That's a big win. That's a statement win
That's
by
a
the academy.
stunner. I mean, that is unreal.
The Philly Academy, the FC Dallas Academy, like those two, like you hold in high regard. I'm sure I'm missing a couple, but like those two have been giving out, the most products as of recently. And then today they played Atlas, and that's how we topped the group. We got a dub against Atlas.
Lucho
And
Acosta's former Mexican team.
yeah,
So kind of cool to see.
kind of cool. So U17s will be moving on in the tournament as they top the group, and we'll be excited to watch both of them.
Yeah, I think this goes on, like I mentioned, I'm pretty sure through the end of this week, maybe even next week a little bit, hopefully if we advance. But it's just such an unbelievable opportunity for them to play, talent from around the world. This is where I think Pulisic got, his scouting. I think Weston McKennie, like for, you mentioned with Dallas, like a lot of these guys are getting scouted from all over the world, and hopefully we retain these guys. You want them to play well, but not too well that they get recruited somewhere else. We have a guy playing with us that's from the Hoffenheim 17s team. So this guy was born in Minnesota, and he's now playing with us. He had a goal the other day, and they said he honestly looked just as good as Kevin Sullivan from what some reports are coming out as. So if we can use this Hoffenheim relationship, we've heard a little bit about it, but not more recent. That would be huge. So for how well the 15s and the 17s are doing, like our FCC2 team, like has fallen short a little bit the last few seasons. They played some good games early on this year that I think they've lost both, but in close games. Why are we doing well there? Why aren't we not doing as well in FCC2? Like, I don't know, is it retaining guys? Is it fitting the right people for that FCC2 team? But I want to see the transition now, Sam. Can we get these guys from 15s to 17s to the second team? Can we get them up to the first team? It's wild to me that, if you think about the tiers of where we're at in the academy, Steven Jimenez would be on, arguably the 15s or the 17s team below FCC2 and everything, but he's just played through all of that because of his talent, which is really impressive. Can we get some of those other guys more minutes in that level, though? I think that would be cool to see.
Oh, yeah, I think he was the breakthrough, right? You saw it was possible and that it could happen, and now you see the products that we're pushing out with our academy. So definitely more to come for sure.
Absolutely. Stay tuned with that. Like I mentioned for my card, though, like if you guys can see a stream of the young Gary's playing, tweet at us, let us know. We'd love to be able to at least follow along during the week, because we don't have a midweek game this week. So give us an opportunity to watch. I think they're during the day, Sam. But at least to go back and see some highlights too. I would love just to see a breakdown, maybe the goal or anything like that. So stay tuned for that. But as we move on, senior guys, so match day number 7, coming up this Saturday, New York Red Bull, Sam, huge game. Huge game.
Huge. Yeah,
Huge.
I mean, this is a rivalry. It is. There's bad blood between.
It's not
both
like a
teams.
Nashville rivalry. It's a
No,
real.
yeah, this is something, and it's because we played them more than any other team. 7-3-6 overall, 5-2-1 under Pat since 2022. Sent them packing last season as well. So there's a bad taste left in their mouth, and I'm sure they're gonna want to come at us pretty hard. But looking at the lineup, who do you think we got, Ryan?
Much of the same, Sam. I think Obi is the big one that comes in this game. I think you probably see Murphy come back, in my opinion. maybe a later sub for either Keller or Hagelin, but everything else is the same. But our boy Dado is going to be in there. Better believe it. We're going to see Dado come in. That spark, beginning of the game, creating an opportunity. You're going to get an early goal because of that. Now, how's that going to work with a single striker, with Bupenza?
We'll figure it out.
Figure it out. Maybe it's a rotation. I mean, we've seen Dado's been able to play forward. Lucho can play forward. Make that two interchangeable there, let them go up and explore that. Like, honestly, Sam, this is Manchester City with, if you think of the guys that they have in those positions where some of them can float out wide, or it's not Manchester City. Okay. Let's
it's not Holland.
Let's slow down a little bit too, but the style of play.
Yes.
And the free floating, I've mentioned this a few times now in the past several weeks, is if you're stagnant in creativity up top, you have to change it up. You have to get guys moving around and creating opportunities. Are you still trying to, get everyone to get used to this system and really nail it down? That's the other argument to that, and really try to get it right. But how many games has he had? I mean, Pat commented in his post game, like, these guys should know what they're doing by now. They're 10 games into the season, 12 or whatever with Champions Cup. Like, we have to be understanding, like, if you're going to play a ball through and the guy just stops, like, there's got to be better communication and understanding of when they're running through behind, when they're checking to. And if Dado is able to do that better with Lucho, that's what I want.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. The other thing is, like, Red Bulls this season have been really good. They're sitting in fourth right now. Lewis Morgan for them, 6 goals in 6 games. He is in form and he's carrying Red Bulls right now. It is pretty impressive.
Yeah, a healthy Lewis Morgan. He was injured a lot of last year. Van Zier, their other guy, who honestly shouldn't even be playing in the MLS because of his comments he made last year and should have been kicked out of the season, to be honest. But he only got like a 5-game suspension or something like that. But I mean, their lineup solid. I think they bring in a new center back this year from Sweden, actually, to be honest with you. He's a Swedish international guy. But they still don't have that big striker up top. They've been kind of going through Van Zier, and with Lewis Morgan, they kind of been playing interchangeable up at that position. It's not like a big physical demanding guy, but if you have 5 in the back, I just wonder, do we manage that a little bit better? We've always seemed to have a good idea with that. What I worry about is the pressing style of Red Bulls historically, and how does that cause us fits in, what Charlotte did against us? Do we have to play a little bit quicker, or if they're pressing, higher, do we play it through more, or how do we break that down? It just has to be better than what it was in the last game.
Who was the guy they signed from Leipzig?
Forsberg is attacking mid. He didn't play in the last game. I think it might have had something to do with him coming off the international break. But he just got a divorce too. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. For my sake, I hope that he's out because he's a pretty solid player.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, in this game, you see much of what we've been missing is just Obidi coming in and dictating the midfield. If you're going to go Dado in that position and take a little bit of a risk, you need, I think, Obi in there over Kubo. Don't you think? I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Like we've talked about, I think Dado's got to get, in there, get us some energy. But what are we thinking here, prediction wise?
I think honestly it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I'm going to say for the first time that, I think we're going to get a draw out of this game. I hope that we can get something together, or at least show me some better signs up front, and everyone's been calling for that too. Before I get yours, I wanted to hear your thoughts on, like, a lot of people will probably call for, does Kubo get a start up there, or a different look on more of an attacking role? I still think he's a solid option off the bench for a spark in those moments, like, obviously we score with a lot of our subs in this past game, which goes against everything I'm saying, but I just don't know about the long-term, effectiveness of Santos in those spots. Or, do you get Dado coming in with energy and creating. Does he like that more right now than at the beginning of the game? I don't know. I mean, personally, as a coach, I would want to switch it up and see how we do at home when maybe most of your starters are there. And do you try something a little bit in that situation?
Yeah, I do think the unfortunate thing here is like the guy that you're looking to take out is Corey Baird, right?
Yeah.
And he's had a lot of chances. He's created a lot of chances. He's
Right.
found his way into little gaps into the defense to where he's open. He just can't finish. So is it something to where you just replace him? You see how Dado, you see how Kubo, you see, whoever else you want to put up top, that's fine. Santos, you want to start Santos, just have Baird come off the bench then. That's what I want. Baird come off the bench. You see what they, don't. You come in, you give energy, and hopefully you get a goal or two or whatever, right? So that way we can get your confidence up, and then next game, we can, build on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for you then, score prediction for the game?
2-1 FC.
All right. Goals by?
Let's go Corey Baird as the
Off the
second goal,
bench?
but the first goal is going to be a Dado goal.
Dado goal. I would love to see it. I don't think we've had a PK like that we've scored this year yet. I think we might get a little bit more of an aggressive game. There's going to be some blood from playing them so often. I mean, we played this team more than anyone, and there's still some bad blood from last year. It's a lot of the same guys from last year on that team too. A lot of our similar guys too, that we're getting in the disputed stuff, with Miazga, with Lucho and all that too. So, and Roman, the way that we send off, him and after he saves the PK, doing the ears right. So I don't know, man. They came in and beat us at home at the end of last year when we wanted to do our supporter shield celebration. I wonder if Pat says like they got the better of us last time and that does not happen again. This is our home, like we have to be this way at home. We have to play well. I'm excited that again, this game is just at home against them versus playing there, even though again, the road test with them is not as much of a big deal because of the lack of some supporters up that way. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
What's the trivia answer you got for me today?
Real quick before I give you the trivia answer, Sam, there was a little bit of this dispute about the U22 striker. We mentioned it on the last pod. Kevin Kelsey, coming over possibly. I believe from Ukraine is where it was, but there is some talks that, is Houston Dynamo interested in this player? We own the rights or discovery rights to this guy. Is this more of a ploy of, Chris Albright trying to get more money out of this situation than us being actually, interested in the player? He fits the build in some ways and he wants to leave. And that was furthermore, I think, confirmed. It's just about the right fit. Houston's looking for a replacement for Baird and some of their other guys that are injured right now, but they still sit fairly high up in the standings too. So again, will be interesting to keep an eye on that. Again, the window is now, we're in April. It's closing the 23rd. What happens? Do we sign a U22 striker before that window closes? We're getting closer. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Sam, trivia question and answer. Here we go. How many games in a row has FC Cincinnati gone without losing on the road? And that was dating back to last year. And where does that streak put us all time? You, I believe, locked in with 9 and then 4th all time.
Yep.
Dude, you were very close. It was 8 games in a row now that FC Cincinnati has gone without losing a game on the road. Last lost road game was in Columbus in August of last year.
Dang.
Impressive. Excluding CONCACAF Champions Cup, but in in MLS playoffs, we had all the games at home. So I thought that was fascinating. Where does that put us all time in MLS? You nailed it. 4th.
Let's go. Hey, 1 for 2. 1 for 2.
1 for 2. So if we look at the teams that were undefeated on the road, FC Dallas has 12. That was 2010. I believe from like May until September, actually. Portland Timbers with 10, Seattle Sounders with 10, a whole bunch of teams at 9. And actually, Sam, last year, FC Cincinnati was the more recent one that went from July through of 22 through March of 23 without losing a game on the road. And now we're sitting at 8, and that is still going, so we can possibly set a record. I don't want to jinx it now that I brought it up, but I thought that was fascinating. We have been road warriors compared to what, early MLS FC Cincinnati was. We wouldn't be able to get a point on the road before. But, to have 2 different unbeaten streaks of 8 and 9 now is impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. This team finds a way, and whether it be a win or a draw on the road, usually you're looking for a draw. And so they seem to just fight it out, and we stay unbeaten 8 games now.
I think this team is going to find a way in this next game against Red Bulls. It's going to pull the whole team together, a little bit of, blood flowing through them. And, this rivalry, we're talking about, we'll get them to play a little bit more free. We're going to see a dub. I'm changing my prediction now.
So what?
I'm going with I think I want to go 2-0. I'm going to do 2-0 now.
Okay. I think what's going to be key of the game, Nick Haglin's Magic Old Spice spray. That's going to be a key to the game. They're all going to
pass it around.
Pass it around. Exactly. Just, hey, make sure you get your spray in. That's key to the game.
Jesus statue that Lucha brings everywhere, and Old Spice from Nick Haglin.
Old Spice Jesus.
You're onto something. You're onto something. Guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. Like and subscribe. Listen to us anywhere you find your podcasts. We'll be rolling out, a ton of more new content. We're on Twitter all the time, sharing stuff too. And again, look out for the Young Garys in the GA Cup. Let's go win it. U15s, U17s. Let's see it. We'll see you guys next week.